I've spent years helping people plan for and step into retirement. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. A lot of people fail at retirement, not because they didn't save enough, not because they made bad investment decisions, but because they walked into it with the wrong expectations and no plan for what actually gives retirement meaning. Today, I want to share the harsh truth that separates the retirees who thrive from those who struggle. A truth I've learned not from theory, but from watching real people live through both successful and painful retirements. So let's get into it. And for context, I work with clients who saved $500,000 for retirement. I also work with clients who saved over $5 million and many even more than that. Here's what I've seen firsthand. The size of your retirement account does not determine how happy or fulfilled you will be in retirement. We often assume that more money is more happiness, that the bigger the bank account, the more secure and fulfilled we'll feel. And to some degree, that's true in the short term. I mean, have you ever seen someone unhappy on a jet ski? I haven't. And sure, I joke, but there is some truth in it. Money can buy happiness for moments of time, security, and other important things. It does serve a purpose, but when it comes to lasting happiness and long-term fulfillment, it just doesn't work that way. In fact, 1 in 4 retirees with over $1 million in assets still report moderate to high levels of anxiety in retirement. That stat always surprises people. How can someone with millions of dollars still feel anxious about retirement? And here's why. Money gives you options, but it doesn't give you identity, purpose, or connection. And beyond a certain point, more money does very little to move the needle in life satisfaction. The Federal Reserve Survey for Consumer Finances shows that well-being plateaus after about $500,000 to $750,000 in assets. I've seen this in my own practice. A client with $3 million told me last year, just nonchalantly, "Nathan, I feel bored. I don't know what to do with my free time." And another client with $500,000 was living a deeply joyful life, active in their community with rich friendships and a clear sense of purpose. What this has taught me is that it's not about the number. If you're not building up the life side of retirement, who you are, how you spend your days, who you connect with, the money alone won't protect you from disappointment. Here's where the illusion comes in. And this is something I've seen all the time, and I know you have too. We're sold a fantasy about retirement. Endless vacations, no alarm clocks, no work, total freedom. But the fantasy falls apart because most people think retirement is about escaping work. But the reality is that retirement is about building a new life. And if you haven't prepared for what that new life can look like, not financially, but emotionally and psychology, it can be a rude awakening. So I want to invite you to take a quick questionnaire where you can share some information about yourself, and I'll send back a quick personalized video outlining some of the things you might want to be thinking about and some very high level cash flow projections on your retirement. And if you're not ready for that, that's okay. We're just getting to know each other here. It'd be helpful if you can like and subscribe this video. So what separates retirees who flourish from those who flounder? The harsh truth is it has less to do with money and more to do with mindset. And that can be hard because it's almost like forming a new identity. And I totally get that. I've been a financial advisor for over a decade. It's how I identify, and I love that job. I get to help people accomplish their dreams and goals and be a part of your journey. But what happens when I retire and I don't get to say I am a financial advisor anymore? I don't know. And don't worry, I like to tell my retiring clients I'll be here for a few decades or more so I can see them through their retirement. So I personally don't have to worry about what my identity looks like in retirement just yet, but the question applies to you. What are you doing? How have you started to differentiate your work life from your non-work life? Too many people rely on work for their social networks. Once they retire, those connections slowly fall away. Clients have come back to me and casually mentioned that they never realized how much they depend on their work to keep them socially connected. But the good part is that you can figure out how to think about retirement before it happens, and not just the money aspect. Ask yourself who you are without your job title. Ask yourself, what will fill your day now that you aren't answering emails? Ask yourself who you will fill those days being connected to and how you will build those relationships. Because relationships and your health are often tied closely together, for better or worse. And interestingly enough, even those in marriages need to think about this. Divorce rates for adults 65 and older have tripled since 1990. Much of this has to do with how we think about ourselves and others as we enter this new phase of life and around your spouse, which is different from how you thought about that in the past. One of the great equalizers in life, no matter how much money you have, is your health. how do you take care of yourself in retirement? Keeping active is such an important role. Not only mentally, but even physically. Are you doing something as simple as walking every day? Do you have a pet that is forcing you to be active? Or a walking friend that you might meet up with a few times a week? There's so many ways to stay active. If you want a successful retirement, you still have to work. It's just the work looks different. The work is focused on yourself, your relationships, your health, and that stuff isn't always easy. So I hope you're up for the challenge in retirement. And I hope you found this content a little different. I have a certificate in behavioral finance, which means I love talking about this kind of stuff. So if you want to share in those conversations, please reach out to me directly or join my YouTube community by subscribing here. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.